How's it going, friends and family of the internet? Welcome to the Real AF TV podcast, the show about fishing and random takes from the land of 10,000 lakes. I'm one of your hosts, Josh LaBaw.
And I am the other guy, Tim Wagner.
The other guy.
The other fella.
Yes. I hope you just have another year's worth of random things to call yourself, because Tim, we're coming up on a year. Holy shit. Can you believe it?
What? Yeah, I can definitely call myself all sorts of stuff for another year.
I just put too much pressure on you. I'm sorry for that. I shouldn't have done that.
No, you didn't put too much pressure on me. I can definitely do it, but I would just no, I did not know it was coming. No, that was not the question. Can I believe it? Yes. Do I believe it? I don't know. What's this? Time is just is it even real?
Fucking flat circle or something.
Yeah, it's flat Earth or whatever. Hollow flat Earth or whatever. I don't know.
Both.
Both, dude. It's hollow and flat. It's crazy. It's like a falafel or a pita pocket. It's puffy in the area in the middle, but it's also flat. And then you put pizza toppings on it, and then they sell it at the food truck stand for twice as much as they should. I don't know what we're talking about anymore. I can believe it, but it's crazy. It doesn't feel like it's been a year. It went by fast, man. That's what I think I was trying to say. And then I started talking about stupid shit. So,
yeah, that's the same thing for me. It's it just it doesn't feel like it, because here we are on what is technically episode 24, but we do holiday specials in there and whatever. And it just occurred to me holy shit, dude, our next podcast is our 1 year. So get ready for that, everybody. Come on, follow us on realaftv.com. Yep, that works. realaftv.com.
No,
my bad. Just go there and then follow all our stuff. But yeah, we've been doing it for a year already, and just it blew my mind to think about that, and I just had to bring it up right here in the front of the podcast, because we'll put on a little show for the 1 year next year. Next week. 2 weeks from now, because we launch every other week, and that's why we do not have 52 episodes, one per week. We are not up there yet, but guess what? You can support us on patreon.com/realaftv, real with 2 E's in the middle. If you go over there right now, you can support us at even just $1. And we've been launching the video podcasts already. We've been doing for a month or so, at least maybe 2 months already. My God, we have a decent amount over there on Patreon that you can unlock for just $1. The video will go live soon enough, but we're still we're making sure we got the kinks worked out, and that we're getting good at tending to both audiences, right? Isn't that how you would say it, Tim?
Yes, I'm doing my best. I keep I've listened back to the last one, and I'm like, shit, I did that a couple times where I can see myself. So I'm like, look at this. And then you obviously audio listeners didn't see what I just did there. And it wasn't anything cool, but I just have to fill you guys in and let you know.
Right.
But in that instance, it really wasn't anything cool. I just did stupid shit with my hands.
Well, when you're telling stories that the fish was this big, right? You really need the video aspect.
Yeah, right. And if you weren't watching the video and you were just listening, you would have no idea that I have no clue what to do with my hands.
For all our audio listeners, this one will not be live on our YouTube channel, which you can just go to YouTube and look us up, REELAFTV. But you can get it behind the $1 paywall of Patreon. Oh, I'm sweating, Tim. It's hot in
Dude,
here.
I know. So I was doing my best to not move. I'm like, all right, before we record this, I need to not move at all. Just need to stay focused and try not to move. I want to drink a little bit of whiskey, but I'm nervous. Is that going to make me hot? Am I going to start sweating?
Right.
Made sure to tell my wife, because she likes to shut off the AC in the living room. I'm like,
oh yeah,
when you get Beckett to bed, do not shut that shit off. Like, just leave that running, because I don't care if you go in there and you shut off that thing. I'm gonna be like halfway through the podcast, just like, God damn, just like
trying to pull your collar off your neck because it's stuck.
Right, just like I'm sweating the morning after eating some real spicy burritos.
Oh, we've all been on the toilet and experienced that one.
Oh my gosh, it's terrible.
Bad mornings. Especially if you go out drinking a little bit afterwards or have too many margaritas while you're at the Mexican spot.
It hurts so bad in the morning. You're just like, oh, do I stand up? Do I sit down? I can't make this feel comfortable. And then you
Why
start
do my kidneys feel like they're trying to fly out my back?
You're just like, oh.
Oh, all right, man. First things first, let's get into some housekeeping. But before I even do that, first part, fishing. We're going to do night fishing. We're just going to cover night fishing. I did kind of a general topic, right?
Yep.
But we're going to get into night fishing, and then we are going to go ahead and do our second half, our random take, and we're going to do sports memorabilia, man caves. We're just going to kind of cover that because I'm not a sports guy, but like that stuff still appeals to me in some way. And so like, I just want to have that conversation with you.
Dude, it's right behind you.
Oh,
we'll touch on that later, but like you have man cave-ish stuff going on. And if you had that $1 paywall, you'd be able to see Josh has the man cave stuff going on.
That hit me so hard, dude, because I didn't even think of that. Like you just literally pointed that out in my brain. It's been there the whole time.
Oh yeah, I do have a whole man cave thing going on. And for those of you wondering, the audio listeners, like you can come and get in on this video thing and see Josh's. Mine is, you're not gonna be surprised. It's not fun. I have an orange wall.
You have a corner studio, like that.
I have a corner studio, yeah, because the rest of this room is a real bag of shit.
Had to bring out the wipe already, man. I'm sweating now. Too much laughing. Okay. Okay. Get it together, man. Get it together. All right, I got it. I'm back on track. A little housekeeping. Remember, in our off week, because the Real AF TV podcast drops every other week, in the off week, we are now splitting the topics. We're doing the fishing topic and the random take on 2 separate days. The fishing topic drops on Wednesday. The random take will drop on Friday. And then the following Monday, bam, new full podcast to get you through that week. Tim, night fishing. You and me go fishing in the dark.
Oh, country. I wasn't expecting that reference.
Yeah, not for me. But when you live in the area that we live in, you can't get away from it.
You cannot. I mean, we both know that song. I don't know if you can get away from that song at all. It's
ever,
everywhere.
Anywhere, right? If you live in the United States, you can't get away from that.
Those are like, there's a couple of country songs I don't mind, and those are some of them. Not that one so much. I do like the one where he's talking about, like, it's that like lead into like the girl's talking about, like, if you go fishing, I'm packing my things and I'm gonna leave.
Oh
and
yeah,
then it kind of like slows down and, well, I'm going fishing. And everybody cheers.
I'm a misser.
Yeah, it's like, hell yeah, dude. Just like she's just like, it's either me or fishing. You're just like, I'm gonna miss her. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Right.
Hey, okay, night fishing. So up north, for those of you not in the northern hemisphere, it stays light up here for a while. We live in the north part of the United States, for sure, here in Minnesota, and it's like there's like 15 hours from sun up to sundown, and I'm sticking specifically to now around the summer solstice, the time, the first day of summer. That's what I'm speaking of. Like these, these 2 weeks, we have like 15 hours of sunlight.
Yeah.
Out of a 24-hour day, which is wild, I think, There's a very specific part of the world that gets that, and we live in it. So to talk about night fishing now, I think is a weird thing, and I just wanted to point that out. But I wanted to point that out because like it has to have an influence on night fishing because we're also a huge walleye culture up here, and walleyes are a big time night fishing. So do you know anything about like why walleyes are night fishing? I didn't look that up, but I was kind of like, what's up with walleyes? I know we did a whole walleye episode, but like,
it's just they just have an advantage. Their eyes are so
those big
good.
Fucking walleyes.
Yeah, they're just so good at seeing in really low light condition that they just have a really big advantage over their prey.
So that they get active. They literally will like hunt at night.
Yeah, or like in the low light hours. The low light hours is when I like to fish for them. I think that's when they're most active. But you can catch them at night too. But it's just
okay. So that time, so that's part of like our. It's like if I did my research, and it's like 15 hours from sun up to sundown, but then there's like 2 hours on either side, like as the sun's coming up and as the sun's going down, where you can still see very clearly, where it's still very bright out up here.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah, the
those low light hours.
Yeah. Yep.
Like the sun's technically down.
Right. Yep. That in the morning and at night are awesome for fishing. I believe is it just at night that it's called the Twilight?
Yeah.
I believe that's what the Twilight is. Yeah.
And then the dawn is in the morning.
Yeah, so when you're hitting those hours, it's like perfect for fishing.
Really?
And then when it gets dark, like they're definitely still active. But I normally don't stay out because I fish most days. So if I stay up super late fishing,
like literally you mean during the day?
Yes. Well, I mean like if I get a chance, like if it's the weekend, like I'm probably not fishing Saturday night because I want to fish right away again Sunday morning, you know?
Right. So yeah. You're fishing the daylight hours. That's what you meant by day, right?
Right. Well, yes, too. And the other reasoning for that is just I kind of aspire. I've always dreamt of like tournament fishing, and that doesn't happen in the dark. So I'm always trying to become a better angler during the hours of when I would actually fish. So
sure.
Learning how to do stuff at different times of the day doesn't really help me in that pursuit of being a tournament fisherman down the road. So
yeah, definitely. And on that note, let's sidetrack really quick. What a huge weekend, dude. Did you watch it was E3 and the Bassmaster Classic on the same. Did you see me post on social at all? I had 2 iPads up watching both at the same time.
Yeah, it was there was so much going on. I saw like my phone for Instagram was blowing up constantly of like live video. It was like every it was like every fishing sponsor that I follow was just like, look at our pro.
Nice.
Yeah.
I felt a little bad. I was like, man, we should be on because like video games and fishing, like they're just coming together right now on the same week, and this is fucking weird.
And it was
we just weren't prepared for it, you know? That's all it came down to.
Yeah, I didn't know that they were on the same weekend. Like I wasn't paying attention to the excuse me. I wasn't paying attention to the E3 timing so much. I heard some of the podcast talking about it, but I never really paid attention to the exact timing of it. And then the Bassmasters I had been paying attention to.
Right.
And they just dropped on the same week and I had no idea. Like once it happened, I'm like, oh, they're both happening right now. Like
right.
I was just not prepared at all. But it was cool to see because I think E3 must have had a pretty good. I think a lot of this stuff coming back out now was like it was getting a little bit slow, and then COVID came and it made everybody realize how fun doing things in the real world is instead of the virtual stuff. It like made everybody so sick of it. Like when you make it so this is our only option, we're like, God, I just want to do something again. And the Bassmaster Classic was the second highest I think, in attendance in history.
Yeah. Yep. It was.
So,
Yep. I can't remember exactly what it said, but I saw that too. Yep.
yeah, and that's crazy from coming, off of a nobody can go anywhere to now they're allowing it and some people still being skittish to now this is the second most ever.
Right.
From battling times of when there wasn't pandemics.
Right. Exactly.
It's awesome to see though.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was really cool. And good on you, Hank, for 2 in a row, man.
Yes. Dude, I looked his, like, I know some people aren't big on their social media followings or whatever, but he had like 34,000 followers on Instagram. And I'm like, 2 years in a row and you're at 30,000 followers? Like, that's just nuts. Just on principle, this guy shouldn't even have to post anything. Everybody that's into bass, you have the second highest following ever. And you have, like, I see social media presences that, like, I've never even heard of pop up with 30K. And you're like, oh, wow. I can't believe they have 30K. Never heard of these people.
Right.
And then you have the 2 in a row champion. Like, that is a huge feat. If you guys don't know, the Bassmaster Classic is the Super Bowl of bass fishing. And this guy just repeated.
Yeah. He's one of a few. I can't remember the number they said, but it's a few.
Yes, it has not been many because it is super hard to do.
Yeah.
Because they're like he's going up against the best of the best. It's just like any of the other sports out there. Like, you may think that guy doesn't, like, you may not know. If you're listening to this podcast, you probably know about fishing, but everybody knows about football, I feel, And if you're watching all these people play football and you see one guy, like a defensive, say an offensive tackle, and he's not doing his job blocking, and you're like, that guy sucks. I guarantee you're not getting around that fucker. He's just trying to stop the best of the best, So that's the same thing with this bass fishing. You're watching some of these other guys and they're like, oh, they're not that good because they're never at the top of the tournament. They're still in the Bassmaster Classic. Like, they're going to outfish you. If you go up against them, you can have them come to your home lake and they're going to put more fish in the boat than you. That's just the way how it's going to work. And this guy beat the best of the best 2 years in a row in something that's not like a normal sport. It's not like you can just work out your whole life. There's also a decent amount of luck involved in
and research. I mean, not that like football doesn't go through research because you watch a lot of tape and stuff and like learn your opponent and whatever. But like, there's a hidden aspect to fishing.
Right, exactly.
And that is you can't just like, as much as technology helps us, especially Garmin now coming in the game, being like really lighting shit up. As much as technology helps us see in the water, it's not seeing it. It's not the visual. And yes, you can sight fish a lot of spots and whatever you want to say to that, but there's just it's just a different element. Anyways, we'll talk variables. About we got to talk about tournament fishing some other time, I think.
Yes.
Let's get back into night fishing.
It's a huge feat. Congratulations. Night fishing sucks ass.
Yeah, so you don't night fish, and again, from a big coming from Minnesota, a big walleye area, Mille Lacs, I know, I've never been there, but is it Mille Lacs, Lake of the Woods, maybe both of them? Huge like tourist destinations, right? They'll bring out a pontoon and they'll literally line the outside of the pontoon at night and they'll fish walleye. So like night fishing is like a thing Minnesotans do.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
Night fishing works and it doesn't suck. It's good. But I don't like it. That's why I say it sucks. Because in my opinion, it's not for me. And like what you were talking about, they call those launches. And it's not necessarily pontoon boats. They'll have like giant regular boats. They're almost like ships. They're big. Big old decks. Like you can hold like 30 people and you can all walk around.
Yeah. They're
It's
big.
nuts. Yeah, I've been on one time, and we went out in the middle of the summer day, and there was no wind. It was like the shittiest conditions to go catch walleye on. And the guy literally was just like, I don't know if we're gonna have luck today. And he set us all up with Lindy rigs and just let the slight breeze that we had push us across the flat.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were just all dragging bait across this flat. And if there was any fish there, you'd think that we'd catch them, because we had like 20 lines on one side and we're all dragging.
Jeez.
And there's just like all these baits. And there's so much food down here. One of us should have something. And a couple of people caught big ass smallmouths. But that's
really?
it. But yeah,
No,
monster
just smallies,
smallmouths.
huh?
I want to go fish. That's all I want to go fish on Mille Lacs. I want to go fish smallies on Mille Lacs so bad. They're just monsters, just giant
Put it
tanks.
down.
Yes, I want to do it so bad. That's one of my big destinations. I should have said that, but that's such a realistic one that I didn't count it in the destinations. I just need to get a boat big enough to handle if the wind picks up on Mille Lacs, because you can get some gnarly waves out there.
Yeah, because it's such a big body of water, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
yep.
I mean, for the listeners that don't live in Minnesota, just Google Maps, Lake Mille Lacs, Minnesota.
Right. Yeah.
Just see that thing from the sky. You're gonna go, oh shit.
Yeah.
They don't fuck around up there.
No, that's a big body of water. We have a lot of lakes, and a lot of them are small. That is not a small one. That is a big ass lake.
Right.
That's where when you're on one side of the water and you're looking across, you can't see the shore on the other side.
The horizon is just water still.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah, it looks like you're at a Great Lake. But
yeah, for sure. It's crazy.
Yeah, just before we get off the topic, I don't know what you're going into, but I wanted to say the reason I don't like it is because I hate bugs. There are times of year where the bugs aren't bad. Like if you were trying to night fish in the spring, which you don't have a big window for, because when you're night fishing, you're normally fishing for walleye, and in Minnesota we can't fish for walleye until
at that time.
Fishing opener, which was just like a month and a half ago. So
right.
But the bugs get
spring.
so bad, it's not worth it for me. I hate the feeling of them like crawling on me. They're just like moths and shit. You do get bit by mosquitoes pretty bad up here, but you can wear bug spray to stop the mosquitoes.
Yep.
They get so bad, it does not stop them all. There's just bugs hitting you in the face, and they're crawling all over you. And I'm just like, I'd like to, at night fishing, you can troll slow and stuff, but I'd like to have a beer while night fishing. Just kind of moving slow, and there's bugs everywhere. I can't open my mouth. I'm just like,
you're afraid they're landing in your beer.
Bugs felt in your face. You're like, I can't even put the beer to my mouth, or I'm gonna eat a fucking bug. Not for me.
It's so funny because everything you just said is like, okay, so what gear do you bring on a night? And I was, what gear do you bring that you wouldn't during the day? And it was the first thing I put down was, well, exchange your sunscreen for bug spray.
Right. Yeah.
Right. If you're the kind of person that needs sunscreen, you just take that son of a bitch out, put some bug spray in there, night fishing. Here you go.
Yep.
But I didn't even think about it from what you just said. I didn't think about the bugs. It's like the bug repellent is for mosquitoes, horse flies, whatever, those kind of biting bugs. That's what it's intended for. It's not going to stop the bugs that are just living on the water, flying into your ass.
Yeah, and they land on
trying
your
to troll.
There's such a large sample size of so many of these stupid ass little like white moths that like it doesn't stop them all. Even on the like side by side commercials for like off bug spray, you see like two hands, and they'll have them like in a cage with a shit ton of mosquitoes, and the one's like covered in mosquitoes, and the other one has like 6 or 7 on it still. Like it's still like, yeah, with 30 mosquitoes, there's some of them that are just gonna be like, fuck your bug spray, bro. I'm sucking your blood.
Yeah, it's true. But again, the bouncing of the bugs, like I didn't even think about it. Oh, and beer, of course. I put down beer. Like if you're night fishing, beer, right?
Right. Well, because a lot of times night fishing is bobber fishing. So you're sitting in one spot. I don't like to bobber fish anytime without a beer. Like, come on now.
Bobber fishing and beer, they just go together.
If I'm sitting in one spot, I'm kind of an impatient fisherman. But if you have, if I'm drinking a beer as I'm, sitting in one spot. That's a different story because I'll do that without fishing.
Right.
So you add fishing in, and then hey, now we got a party.
Win. Right. And then the headlamp, like I had the headlamp. I had a headlamp on there too, because like I'm just assuming you need a headlamp if you're out there. It's like you've done it before. I'm assuming you need some kind of light, and a headlamp would probably be the fucking easiest way to go about it.
Yeah, like a headlamp or depending on your boat, some of them have some decent lights in the boat.
Like floor lighting or some shit or what?
Well, yeah, like floor lighting, kind of just like ambient lighting. Or when you're parked, legally you have to have that one white light in the back. If you're driving, you have to have the lights on the front where it's a red and a green light in the front. So
it's like split in half, a red on one side, green on the other.
Yep.
On the nose of the boat or whatever that's called.
Yeah, and the reason that it's split like that is so you know, like when you see the color, you can tell which side of the boat you're on. Like that you're looking at.
That you're looking at. Yeah.
Yep. So
nice.
you can kind of tell like yeah, so you're like you can tell that he's, going to your right or to your left because I can tell that I'm looking at this side of the boat. And then the white light in the back, that has to be on even if you're stopped. But the front lights only have to be on while you're moving.
Oh, okay. That's actually one of the questions I had that I couldn't necessarily find. I didn't look up. So rear light always on. Yep. Front light when you're moving. So you can be anchored and just have that, but that white one always has to be on. Or you can turn off the front one.
Yeah, the white one's always on. Yep.
Does that usually have a different switch on it then in the back? Like how does that work from a power standpoint on the boat?
My dad's boat has an auxiliary switch, and when you flip it, I can't remember which way it goes, but it's like flip it up just turns on one and flip it down turns them both on.
Oh.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. So a lot of boats is pretty easy.
Yeah.
But it's
kind of straightforward because like in my head, I'm going like, these are just car batteries. Like there has to be some sort of like circuitry going on, but how much of that do you get in a boat? Like, I don't know that much about boats, honestly.
Yeah. My dad's has 6 toggle switches, I think.
Damn.
Yeah. Cause there's an auxiliary for that you can turn off and on the depth finder. There's the pump to pump the water out if there was like water that came in. There's pump to pump the water into the live well switch, the light switches, and then I think there's a couple more aux ports that are just like open in case you had other stuff that you wanted to wire. It's like just pre-wired into the boat, like you're ready for things if you need things. I can't
right, like the TV.
Yeah, just you want to put a TV on there because you're night bobber fishing, and we know it's not that exciting. No, I don't know what you would all need, but
so you said that you've been out on like one of those mass night fishing, not night fishing, but you've been out on one of those things that would go out night fishing. But you were out during the day.
Yeah.
But like, how do you drive that thing? How do they drive that thing? How do you drive like a normal personal boat? Like, I don't know what are the sort of like unwritten rules of the road? Do you know that before you go out? Do you know that as a avid angler?
How they drive that big thing?
No, I mean, how do you conduct yourself on the water in a boat at night? Because you got to be driving different from the day. That's what I'm really saying. Like,
oh yeah, I don't know if there's like a speed limit. But I'm so goddamn paranoid about all that stuff. Like I conduct myself like moving slow. I'm not
just slow, right?
I'm not.
That's how I would.
I'm not picking it up to a plane at all because you don't have headlights. It's not shining your path. Like when you're on the water, there's like some pontoon boats that come with headlights and stuff, and there is a possibility of getting lights. But I'm not picking it up to a plane when it's nighttime, anyways, because there's like one of the most common things are bogs, and a bog is like if you get into where the dead reeds are, there's like the root system picks up like the ground with it, and it's buoyant, and it's actually kind of like split between the actual soil and like where it is. I don't know exactly how to explain it, but like when the wind picks up, those chunks can break off and float across the lake, and you can have legitimate like
mini floating islands.
Yes, mini floating islands is a perfect way to say it. And you could just light one of those up driving across, and you'd have no idea what happened, or like you'd probably
light your own
be
ass up
okay,
one
but
of
it's
those.
gonna jar you hard. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't fuck around with that. Plus, like I said, I don't really do the whole night fishing thing, so it's it's different. But
just another thing on top of it.
And people will troll. It's a good time to troll like crankbaits and stuff, because that vibration gets their attention, and you can, and like in super clear water, they don't see the boat in the dark. So you can kind of like go right over them and not have to worry about spooking them. Like you can drive over them in shallower water, and there are definitely advantages to night fishing, but the only way I see it is really like, you know, maybe you could get a couple more fish to bite, but like I said, I just prefer doing it in the daytime. That being said, like if you always fish with friends, I think it'd be a completely different story, you know? Like
why is that?
If it was like me and you and all of our friends were fishermen, and when we go to have a party and we're all drinking, and say that we just had a pontoon boat and we could just have that party on the pontoon boat night fishing, I would do that a lot.
For sure. Yeah. So, I understand exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. So I guess it just depends on where you're at, how easy it is to get on the water, you know, that kind of thing. Because definitely, like our crew, if we all fished, you go back 15 years ago, most nights we'd be out there.
We'd be out. Yes, exactly. Yes. It would be awesome. I understand exactly what you're saying there.
Right.
So there's a full moon coming up on the 24th. So when this drops, it's like the week of the full moon, and that changes fish behavior from everything that I know.
Yep.
But it also like changes the way that you can see. Have you ever been out late enough to have a full moon affect the vision on the water?
Yes.
Because like you have a cabin, right? And like definitely that far north, you're getting less light pollution than we are where we live.
Yeah.
So like, does that make a big difference? And also, does the full moon really actually make fish behave differently? Is that just a myth? It does.
Moon, yes, the moon phases for sure make a difference for some fish, like more than others. And it's also kind of like there's a lot of other variables that play into it. So it's not 100% the moon. But I went one time midday on the Mississippi. This is the best example I have of how it works.
Okay.
I went one time midday, because the moon cycle is different than the sun cycle.
Okay.
You can have a full moon in the middle of the sky at like 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Like the sun and the moon can be right next to each other almost. But I went to the Mississippi River. I was fishing for smallmouth, and I went according to what Bass Pro, or like not Bass Pro Shops, Bass, like the B.A.S.S. has a moon calendar, and you can see when it shows the peak times, because there's I won't explain all of it right now, but there's like the moon underfoot and the moon overhead, and the when it sets, and then there's other times that it actually like it says that it does more. Like when I was fishing in the middle of the day, having the sun up and having the moon up at the same time can amplify it.
Really?
Yeah. So like, or like when the sunrise is at the same time as, or the sunrise and the moon set, or the moonrise and the sunrise, like when they're both coming up at the same time and stuff, that can like be a double effect too, and help you out. But when I went on the Mississippi River, a part that I fished tons, and I've went down there and caught like 3 or 4 fish a lot of times that I went out there, I caught a fish every single cast. I caught a smallmouth for like 17 casts in a row, And I'm like,
What?
this is remarkable. I can't believe that this is like and it was just like the stars aligned that day. It was the perfect peak fishing time. And then there was a little bit of wind, and just everything that could go right did go right that day. And I'm
Jeez.
not joking. Every single cast for like 17 casts straight. I've never been
That
able
was a
to
full
recreate.
moon, midday full moon?
I don't know if it was a full moon, but it was close to it. Like
Okay.
the Bass, if you go on Bass's, if you just put like Google Bass moon calendar, it'll show you and actually give you a score for each day based on, the sun and the moon are rising at this time and going down this time. Like, your day should be awesome if you go this day, as long as everything else works out, as long as it's not like right after a cold front or whatever. But that doesn't mean you could have a bad day. It's just you got to adjust your presentation and stuff.
Right.
But yes, to get back to your original question, the moon at night, when it's a full moon, is so much brighter. When it's clear skies and stuff, it really does make a difference. Like, the sun will set and you can still see everything so well at night because the moon is so damn bright.
Right.
So it's still lighting everything up real well, and you can fish for a little bit longer. And
Nice.
for me, until the bugs come out, and then I go, shit. Or sometimes you're fishing out there and you're not getting the mosquitoes until you get back to the dock, and then you're like going up to the cabin, like, just like, I knew I should have came in earlier. Shit. Sorry for hitting the mic there.
It made it more dramatic. It really drove home the point. So, yeah. No,
and it helps.
I just never. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, sorry, I was gonna say, in like the low light conditions, it helps that light reflect off of your bait a little better. So depending on the bait that you're using,
really,
it gives like there's a little.
You mean
bit
like
of
the low light during the full moon, so like it's still bright because of the moon?
Right, like, so it's still dark, but like if you have like a UV lure, it's still picking up that little bit of UV light, and your lure might. The fish's eyes work different than ours, so those walleyes might be like, that thing might be damn near glowing to them,
right?
Where we can barely see anything.
Yeah, it doesn't look like much to us, but it's like crazy. And that's actually perfect transition to back to the glowing bobber because of the light. And I just like think to myself, because you said trolling, all that stuff. What other fishing do you do? Do you bobber fish at night for walleye? Like, you do?
Yep.
So those glowing bobbers are pretty. I mean, I'm not just trying to stick to walleye because we're Minnesotans or anything like that, but like, that's what we know. I mean, that's what the area is.
Yeah, for us up here, like, that's the main target. Like, walleye feed more aggressively in the low light hours and in the dark. And some lakes, you'll hear some people being like, this is a night bite lake. Like, when the sun goes down, like, for whatever reason, these fish are just like, that's when they're eating. And some lakes, you'll hear people be like, yeah, this is not a night fishing lake for whatever reason, even if the water's clear. But a lot of the clear waters are really good for night fishing. So like the lake that I fish a lot, it'd be perfect probably. I just don't like it.
I just don't like it.
But
and you probably don't have any glowing bobbers either.
I do, actually.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
you're
but
not a night fisher, but you still got the bobbers.
That's just a color preference. Like, I get the fill just in case I ever needed to. They have glow in the dark one. I don't have like the light up LED ones, but the Thill have like yellow on the top and black on the bottom.
Yep.
And those are glow in the dark. I just like the way they look. So
yeah,
because I do bobber fish like when it starts to get dark, and it helps see when it starts to get dark.
Oh,
so depending on where we're at, sometimes I'll go for crappie or whatever, because they'll bite when it's getting dark. Everything likes to eat when it's getting before and after the sunrise or sunset. But
okay. So like you might throw on a glow bobber for crappie fishing, like at official sunset.
Right.
When like up here, we still have another hour and a half of sunlight during the summer.
Yeah, exactly. Like like right now, like sunset like 8:30, and I'll fish until like 9:30 or whatever.
Right.
Still catching.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then a lot of times with the walleyes, they'll move up to feed. So they're kind of going from their like a little bit deeper spot during the day to like up shallower to feed. And they'll be kind of like roaming a flat. A lot of the active fish are on the flats. They come up off of like the
deep water, like they'll come up the slope that is between the shallows and the deep.
Right. Yep. I was trying to think of the exact terms, but it's like, that slope. They'll come off of the slope and then go up to where the break line is. So the break line is right where like you got the flat, and then the break line is where it starts to go down.
Okay.
And then from that break line, they'll be like roaming that flat, eating stuff up there. Oh. So a lot of people will go up there and bobber fish and just kind of, at night, they'll just set it in that flat and wait for one to just come and find it, because they're just on the move.
Because they're actively moving. You don't have to be looking for them. You don't have to necessarily be moving because they're on the move.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So bobber fishing works in the middle of the night pretty well. I know a decent amount of people that do it. Just not.
Sure.
And I would fish with them. I just don't do it myself. So
right. Yeah. You need somebody to motivate you to get out on the water at night, because you're not going to do it yourself.
Yeah. Also, bugs. I feel like if there's like 6 or 7 of us, like they're going to take some of the bugs. It's not going to just be me.
It's the whole hand in the box situation, right?
Right. Yeah.
You don't have to outrun the bear. You just have to outrun the person behind you.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, before we wrap the fishing topic on night fishing, I have to ask about lights, like floodlights, dude. Do you know anybody who does that or anything like that? Because I've seen them do spear fishing with floodlights down south. So like you're out on a flat deck boat, right? And all of the lighting inside the boat is like red and low light, light night light stuff.
Yep.
And then they'll just put these giant floodlights on so that you can see through the water, and they'll just go in the shallows in this flat boat and they'll just spear fish. And I've only seen it in the south, but that, could have just been my limited access to everything. But you can, they spotlight fish, and it's not like a deer where they shine them and they freeze.
Right.
From what I could see. But
yeah. They chase them around. It's rough fish mainly, like carp and stuff. And they'll go into really shallow water. Mm-hmm. So the fish can't really retreat down. They're just up there, like kind of roaming. And I've seen it done up here. And they not spear fishing, but bow fishing.
Yeah, bow fishing for sure. Yep.
So they drive around, and I've seen quite a few boats actually.
Okay.
Like if I drive around right now, I'm sure I can find you a couple in St. Cloud right now. Just give me a little while to drive around and be like, oh, there's one.
Really?
A lot of people convert john boats and stuff, get an extra fishing deck and put lights all the way around the outside.
What's a john boat?
Drive around. John boat is like, so you're familiar with bass boats, and a lot of people like how they're kind of flatter like that.
Yeah.
So
they have
it's
kind pointed.
Yes.
They come, they're like a triangle.
Right.
If you look on from the top.
Yeah, but more so of how it sits in the water is like
super low.
Kind of low like that, but a john boat. So like as far as shapes go, a bass boat is like the triangle, a john boat's like a rectangle. The front is flat, like it's a flat edge, and then it's, sloped like a boat, but it's
in the front. Yeah, the nose is still sloped.
It's just really shallow. A lot of people use them for like fishing in like a duck blind or whatever. They'll sit in the john boats. They're just shallow. They're tippy.
That's exactly the kind of boat. I just didn't know the right word. That's exactly the same. The boat that I was talking about. Yeah, it's like a rectangle boat, low profile. That's how you roll through the flat or the shallows. Yeah, for sure. Okay.
Yep.
So they take those and they put big old halogens on the front.
Yeah, they put a bunch of halogens on the front so they can like shine in the water really good.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go out. I think part of it too, why they do it at night, is because for the most part the wind dies down when the light goes away and it gets to nighttime. The wind dies down a lot, and no wind on the lake makes it a lot easier to see the fish.
No ripples. It's like a piece of glass. It's much easier.
I don't know why, but when you said no ripples, I was about to say no nipples. No ripples, no nipples, bro. That should be a shirt.
It means you got to have your shirt on. The bugs are bad.
Doesn't make any sense at all. Just got to use
it just means keep your shirt on because we're going night fishing. The no shirt stuff, save that for the day.
Just picture like a southern dude for whatever reason. They're just like, hey man, why are you fishing out here at night for these carp? And you're just like, hey man, no ripples, no nipples. You know what I'm saying? But just
fires off like right at that moment. Got one.
You know what I'm saying? This guy, he knows.
He gets it. I hope people don't think we're making fun of Southern accents. It just sounds better. Like there's just something that's just better about that conversation in a Southern accent.
Right. Sorry, I just got distracted. I don't know if you could see that. Probably not. I doubt it. Highly doubt it. See, you see white stuff on my finger?
Oh yeah, I do.
That's the letters of like the bottom of this glass. Probably said like, don't fucking
like made in China. Don't put this shit in the microwave.
Yeah, probably like don't put this shit in the dishwasher. And then we put the shit in the dishwasher, I guess. And now I got little letters all over my fingers. Just like all the letters came off of the bottom of this glass. It literally just like a bunch of tiny letters. It looks so weird. I thought I had shit in my glass for a while. And I'm like, no, I have little letters all over my finger. The letters. Sorry. I got distracted. I'm like, what the fuck? Just trying to. And it's just water. So I thought, you know, what the fuck is in my glass here? Right, and it's just a bunch of letters coming off of the bottom. Sorry.
Well, Tim washes the alphabet soup of his hand. Turtle Power. That's for his video version. Patreon.com/realaftv. Real with 2 E's. $1. You can see the video. All right. Well, Tim washes the alphabet soup off of his hand. We are going to take a break for that. And then when we come back, we're going to talk sports memorabilia, man cave situation, and all of the fun stuff that comes along with that. So here we go. Hit it.